Okay, scholars. Okay, so first I want you to look at the handout that you have. It has the pictures on it. Yes, yes. So that is our goal for today, okay? So we're going to read these goals together, okay? Otto, can you read that first goal to me where it says number 1?
I can explain the role of
archaeologist, and we're going to talk about what that word is in a sec. So you should try to say it again. Archaeologist.
Archaeologist.
There you go.
Orally and in writing form.
Good. Can you read that second one for me?
I can evaluate what artifacts tell us about the past by illustrating my own artifact.
Good. So these are going to be our 2 goals for this lesson. And when we're finished with this lesson, we're going to come back to that and see on that last column where it asks you, can I do this? We're going to come back and see, can I do this at the end of this lesson? Okay? So you can put those aside. And the next thing I want you to do really quick, I want you guys to talk to each other and talk to me about what you find in a museum. What types of things do you find if you go to a museum? Otto shared a little about this with me yesterday, so I'll let Otto start. What kind of things do you find in a museum?
I find a skeleton of a dinosaur.
Okay. Why do you think that's in a museum?
Because it is old. It has hundreds of years.
Okay. And why do you think that people want to look at that stuff?
Because you can't see it in normal life.
You can't see it in normal life. Good. What else do you find in a museum?
You can find fossils and
Have you ever been to a museum?
Yes.
What kind of museum did you go to?
Well, I went to the science museum.
Science museum. What kind of stuff did you do in a science museum?
We find old things were in the past.
Good.
We can't find them anymore.
Good. That's awesome. Old things from the past. Can you remember anything? Was there art?
Yes.
Yeah. Did it? Did you see like old clothes that people wore? What other things did you see at the museum? Of science too, right? So you saw bones. Did you see? Did you see like pottery, like vases or bowls or anything like that?
yes.
Yeah.
I find a skeleton of a human.
A human
real human.
Oh, that's creepy. So good. Some of the things we find in the museum, I was just writing down what you guys were talking about. You said that we find old dinosaurs, and Otto made a great point. We find old dinosaurs and they're in a museum. I think the same is true for old things from the past. When things don't exist anymore, we go to the museum and we can see things that were in the past, right? How do you think those things got in the museum? Do you have any idea? How do you think?
Yes, I think it's because there is a lot of people working down, like when you found the fossils and diamonds, like minerals, and maybe they found like skeletons of old things.
Who do you mean those people? Do you know who those people are? You know what they're called?
No way. No.
We're gonna learn that today, okay? So what I want you to do next is look for your word work charts. We've used these before. I numbered yours 1, 2, and 3, okay? So we're going to practice our word work chart with the 3 words that are written in the middle, okay? So let's look at number 1 together, okay? That's that really long, long, long word. Let's try to say it together. Archaeologist.
Archaeologist.
Archaeologist. It's a long word. So guess who is digging up bones and putting them in the museum?
Archaeologist.
Archaeologist. Good. So let's fill out our vocabulary word work together, okay? So I already did the middle for you. Here's a pencil. You need a pencil. So we need to write down a definition of an archaeologist in our definition box, okay? So what I want you to do, just like we've done in the past, we are going to use Google to find a definition of that word. And I'm going to come around and help you find this word because it's a tricky one to spell, okay? And we're going to look at what Google says the definition is, all right? So I'll come type it in for you, and then you're going to copy that definition for me. Got it? So we missed an R there. Archaeologist. Okay? Archaeologist. Let's do archaeologist definition. There it is. Archaeologist definition right there. So, right here it tells you that an archaeologist is a person who studies human history and prehistory through the excavation of sites and the analysis of artifacts and other physical remains. So what we're going to write down is this first part, okay? Just where it says right here, a person who studies human history, write that for me for your definition. A person who studies human history, copy those words for me. Now, when that is written, we're going to summarize this last part using words that we know. What did you say? How did stuff get in museums? What do they do to find the stuff?
They find it like.
Where do they find it? How do they get to it? What do you have to do? You know that word? With a shovel?
I know. Oh.
How do you get to it?
I know the word.
Do you dig? You have
Dig.
to dig. Good.
Dig.
So what I want you to add to your definition, a person who studies human history by digging up stuff. By digging, D-I-G-G-I-N-G, D-I-G-G, G-G, yep, G-G-I-N-G, by digging up stuff. We'll just say stuff. And when I D-I-G-G-I-N-G, up, stuff, S-T-U-F-F. So when I say stuff, I mean all of the stuff that goes in the museum. So the bowls, the bones, all of that stuff, they have to dig up and find it in the ground. Because think about history, right? People leave their stuff, right? And it stays outside, and then the weather comes and it covers it up, and then more stuff is left, and then the weather comes and it'll cover it up. And so it does it over and over again. So somebody has to go dig and find all of the stuff that's been buried. And archaeologists do that, okay? So the next thing I want you to write is, let's come up with an example of this. So think about an example of an archaeologist. So what I mean by that is, what type of person do you think would do this? What type of person would dig up stuff to study it and to learn more about human history? Sorry, it's okay.
Professional people.
Who?
Professional people.
Okay, so you can write professional people, that's fine. Professional is good. What is an example? What are you trying to do? Good, write that. That's exactly it. Whatever example helps you remember this word. It's going to be people that are trained to do it. Alright? Good job. People that are trained to do it. ever seen the movie Jurassic Park?
Yes.
No? You have? Okay. Jurassic Park is this movie about dinosaurs. So, something happened where they were able to find the DNA buried in a cave. So an archaeologist went to this cave and dug up this blood from a mosquito. You know how mosquitoes suck your blood, they pinch you and then suck it? So they found a mosquito and they took the blood from the mosquito and they were able to remake dinosaurs. And so dinosaurs became real again, like in today times. So Jurassic Park is a movie full of archaeologists, a lot of people who go and dig and find things from the past that help us learn about what things were like back then. Okay? So I need you to, what's the next box? Write a sentence. So use archaeologist in a sentence form. You can just write that. So an example for me, I would say, the archaeologist found dinosaur bones would be a good sentence using archaeology or archaeologist. So come up with a sentence that you like using the word archaeologist that's written right there in the middle. Archaeologists can find old things from the past. Awesome job. Archaeologists can dig to get gold and minerals. Okay, good. Last thing. What's that last box need from you? Remember what we do last? We need a picture. So sketch out a picture that helps you remember what an archaeologist is. A person that digs up things from the past. Draw any picture that you can. And remember, Miss Marion is not a good artist, so do your best. What are you drawing, Otto?
I'm drawing archaeologist digging.
Good. What are you drawing? Same thing? Good. That's a great picture because it's a person doing their job. So that last part of the word, archaeologist, I-S-T. Have you ever heard of a scientist? Scientist?
Scientist.
Yeah, so that ending part, I-S-T, that's how you know that somebody is professionally studying something. So they're trained to do it. So what do you think a scientist studies? Science. Good. So that IST word helps you know that that is someone trained to study that. So good. When you're finished with this one, you can flip to number 2. And we have a new word. We're going to do this word, and then we're going to move on to reading together more about archaeologists and what they do. So this word is artifact. Yeah, artifact. while we're waiting for Otto, can you go look for that word, the definition of it for us? He looks very serious. Serious about his job. Good. Awesome job. We're going to move on to this word now. Artifact. Can you say that for me? Artifact. Good. Go find artifact definition for me. And let's do the same thing with this word. These are the only two words we're going to do today, and then we'll go read. You find it? What does it say? Can you read that for me? Let me see. Let me put it up on mine and see what it says on my side. Artifact definition.
Object made by the human being, typically an item of creature of history interest.
Good. So it's an object made by a human being. And it says that it's usually interesting for history. So let's think about archaeologists. They dig. They find stuff. What is the stuff that they find? What is that new word we have? They find artifacts. So all of the things that they dig up are artifacts. These are things that are left behind by people and animals that teach us about the past, okay? So what I want you to copy is an object. Here, I'm actually gonna, I want a different definition than what we have here. So I'm gonna write it right here and you can copy it. We're gonna use an object left behind that helps us learn the past. Okay? So here's the definition. I'm going to put it between you two, and you can copy that definition. It's an object left behind that helps us learn the past. I like that definition better. It's a little more simple. So what does an archaeologist dig up? Artifacts. Artifacts, good. And where do those artifacts end up? For us to look at them and study them?
In
the museum. Okay? So all of those things that you shared with me that you saw in a museum would be an example of an artifact. So what is something you said you saw in the museum?
Old things.
So old, maybe old art or something. So for our example box, just tell me one of those artifacts that you saw in a museum. So an example would be, your example, artifacts of fossils would be true. Any artifact is left behind for us to study. What are you looking up?
I'm looking up a fossil from a rhino. I saw it.
Okay. Is that what you're going to draw? Okay. So the next thing we need to do, you guys know how to do this. We've done it in class. You can write your sentence using the word artifact and then draw me a picture of an artifact. So let's talk about this a little bit before we read about it. Think about everything that you have right now, everything you own. If somebody were to find that, does it teach them about you and things that you like and how you lived your life based on the stuff that you have? Doesn't this teach me something about you? Do you like sparkles? Do you like Paris? be like the Eiffel Tower. So this teaches me. It's an artifact. It's something that is yours that you left behind, and it teaches me about you. So we study the past so that we can understand how people lived, and we do that by finding artifacts. And who finds the artifacts?
The archaeologist.
The archaeologist. You're getting it. Good job. Ooh, that's cool. Okay, finish your word work page, and then we're going to go read the text. Log into it over here, too. Yeah, so write a sentence with the word artifact.
In an example, can I use my own example?
Absolutely. And then use your own sentence and then your own picture. I'm going to give you about 3 more minutes for this, and then we're going to start our reading. What are we drawing? Oh, very good. Excellent example. What are you drawing?
I'm drawing the classroom.
That's a good one. One more minute, and then we're going to start reading. impressive. Okay, go ahead and find a stopping point in your picture and then go to our book, our magazine, I guess we'll call it. Yours should look like this. What is archaeology? We signed into this together? Did you lose it? Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're good. We just got to go back to, oh, we're in American history. What? There we go. Okay, let's go back to this. Yep. All right, guys. So we are going to read some of this together, but before we do, we're going to go preview it, okay? So when we preview a text, before we read anything new, it's always good, especially nonfiction. Remember we went and found nonfiction books at the library today? It's always good to go look at the titles, the pictures, the charts and the graphs, and kind of get to know a little bit and make some predictions about what we might read about. So we're going to scroll with me on yours. Let's stop and look at some of the pictures and talk about those. Look at this first picture. What's happening there?
It's like a
old body.
An old body. Who do you think those people are?
archaeologists.
Archaeologists, and they're finding old bodies that have been frozen over time. Okay, let's keep looking. We have this picture with this. It's pointing to it. It says that Mary Leakey studied the past, and she found this. What do those look like to you?
It looks like footprints.
Footprints, but these are fossilized footprints. So this is like big footprints. So we can come back and read a little bit about what they found here. That looks very interesting. What are they holding there? A bone? Yeah, they're holding a skull there. See that picture?
Teeth.
Yeah. Let's look. This is interesting. So this picture, and then there's an arrow with bold words. What does it say that is? A garbage dump. What does garbage tell us about the past? Don't you throw stuff away all the time? You could go look in my trash can right now. You could learn a lot about me, right? You could go dig in my trash and you would find empty cans of dog food. What does that tell you about me?
You have a dog.
You could go look in my trash and you could see a receipt from Target for toilet paper. I had to go to Target to get toilet paper. So what does that tell you about what happened to me that day? Did I run out of toilet paper? I had to go get some, right? So you can go through my trash can and find a lot out about me. So this picture is a garbage dump. Look how much garbage people throw away. And can't that teach us a lot about people's lives and things that they care about and don't care about? Okay, let's keep scrolling.
Ooh.
What are you oohing about? What do you see?
A cave.
Where? This one? Yeah?
Yes.
We'll come back and read that caption. This is a caption. Remember, a caption is when the words are under a picture telling us what's going on there. Let's look down here. Over here, looks like this. Look at what that says. These are contents of ancient grave sites.
And that's
So
gold.
gold, yeah. So what could that tell you about the person who was buried there?
That has a lot of money.
They might have a lot of money. Let's keep scrolling. Look at this. This says the first farmers. So we're going to come back and learn about who was the first people to start growing things that we now eat. Click this arrow. See this arrow over here? That'll take you to the next page. Okay, we're going to skip this one. And keep pushing the arrow until you see some facts about artifacts. These are the two things we're going to read today, right? So let's go preview this one too. You see this? It says some facts about artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's scroll through here and learn a little bit about this too. What do you see? Another skull. Some facts. The Stone Age people. this is an old tool. It says that this is an old tool used for cutting down a tree. Does it look kind of like an axe like we've seen? Yeah, that's just an old one.
And that thing looks like somebody killed him with a gun because look.
Yeah,
Here.
yeah. That could be a part of history. Here's some weird ruins.
There's one just like this in Mexico.
Oh, really?
Big one.
Which one? What are you looking at?
This one.
That one? So this looks like what you drew, doesn't it? That's an artifact. All of this is different types of pottery. And there's little cartoons that are going to teach us a little bit about each type of pottery. Creepy. This is going to talk about clothes. So we're going to learn a little bit about clothes, how artifacts left behind can teach us.
That's a person, right?
This is look at this right here. What does that look like to you? And read a little bit next to it. What does it say it is? It's a game. Does it look like a board game?
Yeah.
So this is an old board game that kids probably played.
It looks like a game that
But this
Looks like dominoes a little bit. Yeah. I don't know how to play. And then what is this? What does that say? What does it look like? Writing and art? Somebody's drawing and writing something? Does that look like a language we can read? I don't know that language.
no.
Okay, there's some more
that looks like
pottery.
an 8.
Okay. Let's go ahead and push this arrow now. We're going to go back. We're going to go back all the way to this one where it says, what is archaeology? So now that we've previewed a text, okay, we're going to read it. And by the end of reading, we are going to come up with a question. I've come up with that question for you. It's over here, but we'll talk about it in a sec. What do we want to know when we're finished reading? What is the thing that we want to learn when we finish reading? Okay? So this is what I want to know. When we finish reading, we should be able to answer this question. It says, what do artifacts found by archaeologists teach us about the past? So when we finish reading, we should be able to answer these questions using our new 2 vocabulary words. Okay? So we're going to read together. So I will read, and then one of you will read, and then I will read again. And we will see what we can learn about what artifacts found by archaeologists teaches us about the past. Okay, I'm going to start right here where it says, who cares about stuff that's old, broken, half rotted, and falling apart? Who likes to pick through garbage dumps? Archaeologists do, because archaeology is the study of the material remains of past peoples. An archaeologist's goal is to learn about people who have been dead for a long time but left things behind. Katsudin, can you read this part? Finding artifacts.
Artifacts are objects made by humans. It's the first step. Archaeologists have the recurrent to artifacts,
Preserve them.
and unlock their secrets. How were they made? Why were they made? Who used them?
Or, can you read the next paragraph, step by step?
Step by step, archaeologists piece together a tale of human history. It's a story that changes each time new artifacts are found, and it's never finished. Many artifacts are lost forever, and many human activities leave no objects behind. But this account is the best picture we have for people and places from long ago.
Good. So one strategy thing I want you to make sure you're doing whenever you read anything, especially content like this, where it's about social studies or math or science, whenever you're reading a book like that, make sure that you stop and ask yourself, do I know what I just read? Do I know what I just read? Because if you don't remember what you read, what should you do?
Read it again.
Go back and read it again. Go look at it one more time. So make sure you're stopping and asking yourself questions while you read so that you can make sure that you understood what you read, okay? So what we're learning right now is that archaeologists study the past, And step by step, they find artifacts and they piece together history. They find all these, it's like being a detective. It's like finding all these clues, right? These artifacts are clues, and they piece all these clues together and they find out new information about people from the past that they didn't know before. Okay? So let's go ahead and scroll down to below that picture. Let's see what these people found, okay? This is interesting. It was an archaeologist. It said, I'm going to read this part. It says, in 1991, German hikers accidentally discovered Otzi, the Iceman, who is named for the area in the Alps where he was found. Tests showed that he froze to death 5,300 years ago. He was so well preserved that scientists were able to study the contents of his stomach. His last meal was goat meat and cooked grain. Isn't that crazy? So let me talk to you a little bit about some science stuff. So he froze to death 5,300 years ago. Remember the book I read today about the Titanic and what happened to the Titanic people at the bottom of the ocean? Eventually what happened to their bodies?
They just die.
Yeah, they die, and then at the bottom of the ocean, little fish would come and eat it. And then if there was any bones left, the ocean water would, and the salt in the water would dissolve it all up. And what was left behind? What were the things, remember? The shoes. So that was all that was left behind. So what happened here is, because he was frozen, you know how when you want to eat meat, but you don't want to eat it right now, you put it in the freezer, and your parents will get it out and then thaw it for later. So when you freeze, it preserves it. And he was so frozen that it preserved his stomach. So the stuff that he ate, they could go look at what it was and use that to piece together a mystery. Why was he there? What did he eat? How did he stay alive? And all of that was because he was frozen and somebody found him, and now we know more about this person in the past. Okay? Let's scroll down to this picture. Let's see what these footprints are. Okay. Let's look at what these footprints are. Katsuni, can you read this long paragraph for me? Her name is Mary Leakey.
Mary Leakey was a well-known
paleontologist, okay?
paleontologist.
This is like an archaeologist, okay? So let's skip that part and go to in 1978.
In 1978, in Tanzania, Africa, she followed a trail of
Fossilized
footprints belonging
to hominids.
Hominid spies that walk footprints.
So these footprints belong to hominids. They're human-like species that walked upright. So it's people that were not quite people. Which is kind of creepy. Keep reading.
The prints date from 3 million to 370 million years ago. 2 adults and possible a child made them. The prints show a well-developed foot
Arch.
and a strengthened gait.
So they use these footprints to figure out how old they were, so they could use science and figure out that these were from 3 million years ago, that they're adults and possible. Why do you think that they thought it was an adult and 2 children? Look at the footprints. Does this look smaller than that one? These footprints? So aren't kids' feet a little smaller than adults? So they used this information to find out about the past. And one thing that they found was, look at your foot. I don't know if you can, but I'll show you mine. My feet are kind of dirty. So this part right here is called an arch. See how it does this?
Yes.
That's an arch. It also says that they had a striding gait. A gait is how you walk. So some people walk really short. Some people walk long. So they were walking a little longer, okay? But the arch, this shows them, because of the shape of the footprint, that they had, my feet stink, that they had an arch in their foot. And they used this to know people who were halfway human 3 million years ago had feet that look like humans, okay? Let's scroll down. We're gonna skip that and we're gonna go to this garbage dump. And Otto's gonna read about the garbage dump for us.
A garbage dump from the 1960s is treasure chest full of valuables
Good.
like corn on the cob, old newspaper, and other things people choose out. These items reveal a lot about the lifestyle not just of 60s but of many earlier
Decades.
decades. Landfills used to preserve garbage instead of letting it rot. Landfills are improved in the 1990s.
So, this is telling us that a garbage dump like this one from the 1960s tells us about the people who lived there. We can learn about if people are tossing something away, they're throwing it away. Is that very valuable to them? If you throw something away, do you care about it that much?
No.
Not really. So they can look at the garbage dump and they could see, well, people didn't really care a lot about that because they seem to throw it away, right? So even garbage dumps can teach us a little bit about the past. Okay, we're going to look at this cave, and I'm going to read what the white words say about what they're talking about in this cave. It says, archaeology is a very young science. In the 18th and 19th centuries, the people who dug up artifacts were mostly treasure seekers, not scientists. They were still attracted by pretty things rather than by real knowledge, wrote one scientist in 1904. Sometimes they even blasted sites open with dynamite, which could damage the artifacts inside. This engraving shows a discovery of mummies in Egypt in 1860. See right here where it says hide caption with the little eyeball? If you click that, it'll go away and you can see the rest of the picture. So that is a mummy that they found. But back then, instead of scientists looking for things for scientific purposes, they were treasure hunters looking to steal valuable things that they found.
There's something scary back there. Look, here.
What is that, you think? Fossil?
That's
You think so?
That's a
Maybe an old dinosaur type thing?
Yes.
In the science museum that I went, there were like mummies, and one of them was real mummy.
Ooh, creepy. So creepy. Let's scroll down here and see what else we can find. Let's stop for a minute and see how close we are here, okay? What do artifacts found by archaeologists teach us about the past? Can you answer that question a little so far based on what we've read? What do you think? What can archaeologists teach us about the past?
They can teach us about many things that they found on the past, and they search for it in Google or things like that.
What type of things do we find that teach us something? Go back to our text. What were some things that we were finding that helped us learn about the past? What were some examples of those artifacts?
People.
People. Frozen people. Let's go.
Footprints.
Good. Footprints. Good.
They found old things.
Let's go click this. And let's go over to the artifacts one. Remember this arrow we went and looked at those pictures? We're going to go back to some facts about artifacts. And we're going to find more artifacts and what they teach us. Okay, so we previewed this already. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading right here, where it says, so under these big words, I'm going to start reading. It says, the royal tombs of ancient Egypt were filled with the richest foods available. Egyptians believed that the dead needed food in the afterlife. The land in Egypt was one of the most fertile and productive areas in ancient times. As their tombs reveal, most people there ate well, and royalty ate very, very well. So their tombs, when you go find a mummy and you open it up, you would find all sorts of stuff inside of that tomb. And that taught us that they buried their dead with food because they believed that, well, they're going to need to eat in the afterlife. They're not really dead. They're going to a new world, whatever that new world was. And they have to eat there, so they put food in there. They said that royal people like kings and queens, they ate very, very well. If you open their tomb, you're going to find great food, delicious food, lots of food, okay? But food-related items aren't the only clues we can use to discover the truths of past cultures. 3 other rules also apply. You are what you wear, you are what you own, and you are what you live in. So those are 3 things we want to learn about the past. We want to know, what did they wear, what types of things did they own, and where did they live? Look at what you eat, own, wear, and live in. What if you were frozen in time? An archaeologist of the 23rd century wanted to figure out how you lived. What wrong ideas and right ideas might they get from studying artifacts of your existence? So that's what I want to do next, okay? We're going to do a little activity using our question and using our reading. I want you to pretend right now that you're gone. And 200 years from now, somebody digs up something about you. Anything, something that you use all the time today. Maybe 1 or 2 things that you use all the time today. And we are going to, next time we meet, we're going to have to go because your parents are going to pick you up. But the next time we meet, you're going to draw those 2 things about you that somebody could find in the future. And we're going to talk about what they might think about you if they found those things about you in the future. Okay? Thank you guys so much. You can go ahead and we're going to start packing up so your parents can come grab you. I'll walk you to the front.